Hi, Andy here again from the Single Malt Whisky Club of Australia. You can find us at singlemalt.com.au, and today I'm reviewing the Glen Grant, which is a 1993 vintage. This is from a distillery up in Speyside near the little town of Rhodes, and we're going to have a look at this really interesting old single malt. It's a very old distillery that the whiskey's from, and for a long time it was the only single malt that was available outside of the Highlands. You could get it in lots of bars and whatnot through the 60s and 70s, when it was pretty much the only single malt that was exported. The distillery itself was the first of 5 distilleries that were built in and around the town of Rhodes. And John and James Grant built the distillery in 1840. They were 2 brothers, and they'd been off in India fighting for the British East India Company over there, and they came back to Scotland rather wealthy, and brought back lots of exotic plants and created this distillery, and then planted all of this wonderful garden around it. So it's a really interesting place to go and have a walk around, because it's full of really amazing exotic things up in the up in the glens of Rothes. The distillery itself is quite unique, and something else that's quite unique is the shape of the stills. Usually, a lot of stills have a round bulbous boiling pot, and then an onion, they call it an onion, on top of the bulbous pot, whereas this one, the onion's actually square. So it's a really unusual flavour that comes out of that, because it's an unusual shape. Now, this is one of the key components of Chivas Regal, so many of the new blend drinkers will no doubt really like this, because it is one of the key components of Chivas. But it's a really light, elegant single malt, and that's what makes it so highly prized by blenders, in fact. Glen Grant these days is doing exceptionally well. It's been bought by Campari, which is obviously an Italian company. Campari are a very big spirits company in Europe, and Glen Grant is one of the biggest selling single malts in Europe, if not the world, but rarely makes it to our shores, unfortunately. So we're a bit lucky to be trying it. Most of what's produced ends up as a 5-year-old, because it is so popular. So the fact that we've got a 1993, so what's that make it, 16 years old, is pretty special indeed. The first thing I suppose you notice about this whiskey is how pale it is. Now, you can see it in the bottle there. I'll just hold that up behind it. You'll kind of notice that it's kind of a light straw golden colour, and there it is in the glass. So it's really pale, almost like a vanilla-y ice cream kind of colour, and I don't know if it's suggestive, but I actually get quite a lot of vanilla on the nose. 16 years old, so it's got a lot of age, but not a lot of colour, which would suggest second fill barrels, and vanilla would suggest American oak, American bourbon hoggies. Yeah, it's a really citrusy, little bit of honey, lots of vanilla. It's really nice. Well, don't be fooled by the colour on the nose, because it actually has a really nice weight in the palate. Yeah, it's quite a broad palate. I mean, it's nothing like a Campbelltown, don't get me wrong, but for a Speyside, yeah, it's got really lovely kind of heathery, vegetable-y notes, like sort of capsicum, and yeah, spices like thyme and rosemary. Yeah, it's a really complicated whiskey, actually. I thought it would be really simple, just judging by the colour. Even though it's got plenty of weight, there's no peat or or oaky heaviness. It's still refreshing and citrusy with layers of flavour. So at the moment it's summertime in Australia, and it's quite warm. I think it's about 32 or 33 outside. So it's the last thing I feel like drinking is a big Islay or a big Campbelltown. So I thought a nice Spey might be really interesting, and yeah, this one certainly doesn't disappoint. This is a great whisky for the season, actually. It's come out for Christmas, and I think I could drink that with turkey. Maybe after. After Christmas pud, I think I'll really enjoy knocking back a few of these.